Now, we've got one more story that I want to get to, and that is the impending, I believe, indictment of John Bolton and the fact that all this is linked to the giant conspiracy that was designed to take down Trump, all of the lawfare that's been happening over the last 5 years now, 6 years. So check this out. I want you to see this because they actually had a Democrat consultant say the quiet part out loud on live TV with Scott Jennings, and Scott Jennings calls her out for it. This is absolutely classic. Way to go, Scott Jennings. Check this out.
One of Pete's longtime advisors, Liz Smith, seemed to let the cat out of the bag this week, telling CNN all those felony convictions against the president were not a real case, just part of a planned Democrat Party resistance.
Why the base is mad at some of the leaders in Washington is not because they're not left enough. It's because, Chuck Schumer came out with no strategy, no forewarning, and just said, we're going to fold on the CR. I mean, I think he could have done a better job of explaining what the strategy was and what we're going to do, but there wasn't anything like that. I think Democrats are learning, and I'm going to agree with you, that Democrats cannot only be the party of resistance. We cannot, we resisted so hard between 2017 and 2024. We impeached the guy, we prosecuted him, convicted him of 34 felony counts, and guess what? He still got elected. So I don't know how much harder we can resist now.
Are you admitting that, that the case against Trump in New York was part of the organized Democratic Party resistance?
It was a Democratic prosecutor, and at the time, I said I thought it was unwise. I went on Fox News and said
there were Democrats who said this at the time.
There were a lot.
Just to be clear, everybody who now touts the 34 felonies, take it from Liz. This was not a real case. This was a plot to upend the presidential campaign, which backfired.
I just think it was a boneheaded move by Alvin Bragg.
Spinning, in some ways, the liberal lawfare never ended, with Comey still showing symptoms of Trump derangement syndrome. Here he is on Instagram, that 8647. And you can see Christine Holmes investigating, saying basically he called for the assassination of President Trump. DHS and Secret Service is all over this. Comey then deleted his entire...
So we've got Liz Collins basically saying the quiet part out loud, that the 34 felony account, what everybody knew, what everybody on our side knew, the ridiculous, Tish James civil case in New York, the 34 felony counts in New York, the RICO case in Georgia, the raid on Mar-a-Lago, all of the cases by Jack Smith, they were all part of the organized Democrat resistance. None of them were real. Lawfare was part of the plan to take Trump out so that he could not run, and if he ran, he could not win. This was all designed to give you Kamala Harris or Joe Biden, whichever one, in the White House. This was an organized effort, and now they're saying the quiet part out loud. Now, along with this, you also had a bunch of Trump insiders that were in on the deal. The deep state was in on the deal. People that were in the Trump administration, some by his choice, and others just because they were holdovers. People like Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, and other people like John Bolton. And the reason we're bringing up John Bolton today is because we are waiting for a potential ruling from a grand jury. Check this out.
There is moving forward quickly to seek criminal charges against President Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton. Joining us now with her exclusive reporting, MSNBC senior investigative correspondent Carol Leonnig. James Comey, Letitia James, now John Bolton. Is this case different?
Yes, Katie, it is. Let me just give you the news first. Exclusively, we're reporting here on MSNBC that the effort to prosecute and bring criminal charges against Donald Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton, is moving very quickly, to the point that some believe this inside the office, that these charges will come as early as next week. We are also hearing that the office is considering whether to go to a grand jury or actually do something a little bit different, which is to file the charges in a formal court complaint. That allows the office to move more quickly. And we are awaiting word right now about exactly when that might happen. You asked, is this different? If Bolton is criminally charged, who will be the third person on Donald Trump's sort of targeted list of enemies?
So you've got John Bolton. We all know that his house was raided, his office was raided. But where I want to get this was last week. They're expecting potential indictment this week, and this is why. Here's where we are today. Grand jury expected to indict ex-National Security Advisor John Bolton for transmitting classified documents. The grand jury was impaneled and actually started meeting yesterday. So they began meeting and reviewing evidence and testimony yesterday. And I want to dive in because Benny Johnson had a great piece on this. Check this out as he went over this article and other information. Here we go.
Okay, let's go ahead and read here, shall we? A federal grand jury convened on Wednesday afternoon to consider charges against former National Security Advisor John Bolton over his alleged sharing of highly sensitive classified material on a private server. Everything old is new again. Everything new is old again. And it circles round and round. Time is a flat circle. The proceeding comes 2 months after the FBI agents raided Bolton's suburban home in Maryland in Washington, D.C. to search for evidence. The Trump critics proposed theft of highly sensitive national security information, which he obviously did. He's John Bolton. Justice Department officials expected an indictment to be handed up early Wednesday or Thursday, that would be today, with one telling the Post that the case against the 76-year-old is airtight. Bolton is accused of using a private AOL email address to transmit classified information and record diary-like notes in his daily activities and assessments throughout the time as President Trump's first administration. The account was hacked by an unidentified foreign entity, at some point, according to the probable cause warrant unsealed last month, meaning that some of the secret information may have ended up in the hands of foreign governments or bad actors. The warrant redacted other information related to the hack. Investigators also found classified information during their raids, with agents confiscating documents related to weapons of mass destruction, U.S. mission to the United Nations, government strategic communication, and secret travel memos, according to court records. Even if Bolton had no intention of releasing the information, he could be held liable. The sensitive documents were left lying around where anyone could walk into his house and get it, a legal provision that applies his personal email account as well.
So you got John Bolton essentially dead to rights, having classified information he wasn't supposed to have after his term in office. He's certainly allowed to have it during his term in office, but once his term in office is over, he cannot be in possession of that classified information. He had it. He had it on unsecured servers. He had it in an unsecured home. He has it in an unsecured office. John Bolton looks like very much he's going to get indicted. I would expect that indictment to roll out today. I don't know. I would have actually expected it possibly early this morning, but we're still waiting. Now, that is just the next cog in the wheel of the indictments that needs to turn inexorably towards all of the guilty parties. And that needs to roll now from John Bolton over to the larger grand conspiracy that was instituted, implemented, and maintained by Obama, Clinton, Comey, Brennan, Clapper, Page, Strzok, all the above. The spying on the Trump campaign, the spying on the Trump transition, the weaponization of government resources, and the invention of fraudulent intelligence assessments and dossiers in order to put it in, then leaking it to the media, in order to get into the media, in order to brief the president, in order to try to create a viable story, and then the entire Russia collusion hoax where they tried to derail a sitting president, and most importantly, conspiracy against rights of the American people who voted for said president. So this is going to get, I think, very ugly. But that grand conspiracy needs to get investigated. They need to make sure it's airtight. Then they need to roll it out. The plan, I think, is they're going to roll it out in Florida because that's where the raid took place. So that's their linchpin. And conspiracy, you don't have to prosecute a conspiracy in any particular jurisdiction. You can prosecute it in any jurisdiction that the conspiracy was potentially committed in. And so with the raid on Mar-a-Lago, I think they're going to take this conspiracy, they're going to impanel a grand jury in Florida, in a very conservative place in Florida. That's what needs to happen. Let me know what you think. Really appreciate everybody rolling up today. Thanks so much for being here. We will be actively looking and waiting for the John Bolton indictment. And if it happens, we will let you know. In the meantime, please smash that like button, subscribe, turn on the notifications. Most importantly, share Courageous Media with everybody that you know. God is good and he is sovereign. All of this accountability will roll downhill. Make no mistake. Till I catch you next time, have a great day.